Okay, there we go. All right. So, good morning. I figured we probably were going to have a few people that were going to have to miss it just because of work schedules and different stuff. Excuse me. And let me apologize in advance. I'm having to use an old computer. And so I know my video and probably audio quality is pretty rough. So just kind of bear with me on that one. Okay, so good morning. And it's kind of a bittersweet thing that, I mean, I know on the one hand, everybody is probably feeling excited with it being the last few days of the semester. And just to know that we all made it, we made it, well, almost, we've almost made it to the finish line, and that the end is almost here. But for me, it's sad because this is obviously not how I would have liked for the end to come, with me not being able to be with you guys and, well, the ones in person, to kind of finish up the semester. So it is what it is. And I don't know that it would be in 2020 style if we didn't have something come up at the last minute. Such is my luck, I feel like. But anyway, so I wanted to go over just a few reminders, announcements, tying up loose ends as we finish up the semester, just all the things. The biggest thing that we have left is finishing up and completing and turning in the portfolio notebook. So we all across the board are having to tweak our notebooks and modify them accordingly based on what you were able to accomplish, whether you had time in the classroom or not, whether you had to do most of it virtually. I mean, we're all kind of all over the place. So we're just kind of having to make modifications based on everybody's situation. So here's what I want you to keep in mind. Make sure that you are pulling up, and I'm trying to pull mine up really quick. I thought I had it pulled up already on my phone, but I guess not. But make sure that you are going by your guideline for your portfolio notebook. And I'm trying to think of what I have it actually titled as. I want to say that it is like portfolio guidelines. Maybe. Hold on. Let me see, that's right. Yeah, it says portfolio guidelines. So I would make sure, if it was me, that I had this pulled up, as another tab on your computer screen, pulled up on your phone, however you want to do it. But that is your check sheet to make sure that you're not only putting everything in there that is needed and required, but that you're putting it in order as well. So I put in the last few pieces. I'm sure probably everybody noticed. I put in the last few pieces the other day, and I'll go through and make sure that for some reason I didn't miss anything. But let's talk about two things really quick, okay? So next week, and I put it together in the hopes that everybody would pace themselves. That's the idea, that you would take care of those last few essays and last few assignments and do, one or two things a day, to where by Friday, or theoretically by Thursday, you would have everything done, and then you can then organize your notebook. Okay, here's two things that we need to discuss. So yes, you do have to submit everything in Google Classroom so that I know that you've done it and it's complete. But step 2 is also making sure that it is printed out, organized, put in your portfolio notebook, and then the notebook gets dropped off. And there's a couple of ways that that can happen. Now, I do need to know in advance if anybody has issues and you're not able to print. If you're not able to print, again, number one, make sure everything is submitted in Google Classroom. And number two, I am not able to come into the actual school until next Friday, but when I come in, if you do need your stuff printed, I can print it at that time. And then again, if anybody doesn't feel comfortable coming in the school building, I don't know if anybody's even noticed, but outside of the front office is a drop box. And we have that drop box for any student that, again, doesn't feel comfortable coming in the school building, and we can put stuff in the drop box. So if somebody needs something printed, I can print it and put it in the drop box, and then you can come by and get it and put it in your notebook, organize your notebook, and just throw it back in the drop box, which shouldn't take but a few minutes to do anyway. So we had set next Friday as the completion dates. Now, obviously, if you get it done before next Friday, don't feel like you have to wait until then to drop it off. And you can drop it off in the Dropbox. You can drop it off in my classroom. You can give it to them in the front office. However it is that you want to do it. And if somebody does need, for whatever reason, not feeling good next week, whatever it is that pops up, again, we're all going to just give ourselves some grace. And if somebody needs to wait and drop off the last week, the 14th through the 18th, which is EOCs. So if you're not planning on being at school, close to school, or in school next week for whatever reason, but if anybody has to come in for EOCs that week, if that would be the easier option, then that's fine too, because that's when I'll be there. And I do have to proctor one day. I don't know, I think it's Wednesday maybe. But that's one of the things that I'll be doing that whole entire week is grading. So I'll be grading those portfolio notebooks that week anyway. So again, I'm just trying to allow grace and plan A, B, C, and D for whatever everybody needs, because that flexibility is just the name of the game. And we've realized that pretty quickly this semester, as far as that goes. Now, the other thing is, as far as modifying things, there are some things on your portfolio guideline that you either might not have, or you weren't able to complete it in what is the traditional means. And again, we're going to make those changes and we're going to make those modifications. And it's probably everybody's notebook is going to be different. It'll be different based on whether you were completely virtual, whether you were in person, or our poor elementary TCs that not only when the high school went quarantined, they were virtual, and then the elementary went, quarantined, and they had to be virtual again. So, I mean, literally everybody's is going to be different based on what you were able to do and accomplish. So anyway, all right, so you've got title page, you've got table of contents, and then from there, journal entry section. And again, journal entries, and it's going to be a big mix on the journal entries too, because your journal entries might be more based off of your personal experience of being virtual and being in virtual classes, and from the documentaries, and your opinion of how your experience has been in this new virtual learning world. It could have been off of your experience with cooperating teacher, and kind of a mash of how your personal experience as a virtual student have been. Again, it's kind of going to be all over the place, but hopefully everybody's done okay with being able to journal something. 4 to 5 sentences a day, journal something based off either your personal experience, your experience with cooperating teachers, or like I said, kind of a mix between that, or just using the documentaries, or all the above, which there's people that'll have all the above. Let's see, obviously using your journal entries to help you do your weekly summary reports. Obviously, those are going to be modified based on how it is that you're completing your experience. let's see. Okay, now, if you were able to teach a lesson, you do need to make sure that in the lesson plan section that you have a couple of things. Now, if you're virtual, and I need to make sure that all my virtual people know this too, that if you're virtual, I do want you to still do a self-evaluation of how you think the lesson would have gone. And, was there anything that you think might have been a problem or something that you think you might have needed to changed and adjusted? And that shouldn't take but a couple minutes to go back and do. But you're going to have your lesson plan, self-evaluation, which obviously will be different based on whether you did it in person or you just created it virtually. And then the third thing that will go in that section, and this will be only for my in-person TCs, is if my in-person TCs were able to teach that lesson, you also need to make sure that you include your teacher's evaluation. All right, next section is evidence. And this, again, might be different for everybody. Obviously, if you're virtual, you didn't actually teach your lesson and you won't have any kind of student evidence. So that's a modification. But even if you were in person, you might not have gotten any kind of student work evidence, especially if what you were having them do was on the computer. And I don't want anybody having to worry about wasting paper, making copies and things like that. So if you taught your lesson and you don't have any physical student evidence to put in there, that's okay. Don't worry about going and finding it, okay? It's another modification that we're gonna make, all right? Okay, we're gonna keep rolling through this. Let's see. This is where it starts to get into the essays. We started a couple the week of Thanksgiving. And again, you kind of made the modification based on whether you were doing it off your cooperating teacher or whether you were basing it off of a favorite class that you currently have. And then I did include for next week, and I don't remember what day for next week, but floor plan, just a simple layout of a classroom. And depending on how artistic you are, you can either draw it, you can create it in a Google Doc with, just making your boxes and, just making sure that you label what it is, that this is a student desk, this is the teacher desk, whatever. And if you remember, I know it's been a while, but if you remember from the beginning of the semester, I showed you what mine looked like. And it was simply a piece of, it wasn't printer paper. It was, I don't know. It was thicker. I forget what the cardstock. I think it was cardstock, a thicker piece of cardstock, but it doesn't matter. Printer paper is just fine too. And I had cut out little squares and made those the student desk. And, I don't know. It wasn't perfect either, but just letting you know that there are a variety of ways that you can do the floor plan, and you can base it either off of your cooperating teacher's classroom, or you can base it off of a favorite teacher's classroom and even make modifications. Like if it was your classroom, you would have it set up like this. So again, there's a variety of ways of how we can complete this. All right, after the floor plan, where it says seating chart, obviously that's only going to be for those of you that have cooperating teachers. And even if you had a cooperating teacher, if you were not able to get any kind of seating chart, maybe they don't do one. A lot of teachers don't do this anymore. This is very old school anyway, for teachers to have assigned seats and things like that. So if there's not a seating chart, again, nobody's going to get caught off for not having that. And then it circles back into the essays, your essay on your class as a whole, your essay on your cooperating teacher, which I'm wanting to say that one was also the week of Thanksgiving. And then here's the new ones, the new essays for next week. You've got 4. You've got your essay on good ideas for future cadets. All right. And again, you're basing this off of your personal experience. If your personal experience was all virtual, then tell it from your perspective. How do you think this class was being a virtual student? Good and bad. All right. Don't be afraid to hurt my feelings. All right. I'll cry at home. All right. So good and bad. All right. Future cadets, whether it was in person, virtual, or, most of us experienced it in all three worlds. Future cadets, right? Because I want to be able to keep these if you don't want them back. If you want them back, that's fine. But if you don't want yours back, I want to be able to keep them so that I can show future cadets these are the different things that we had to do and navigate in this very different world in 2020. All right, so hints for future cadets: essay on worst experience, essay on best experience. And for those, I would recommend looking back through your journal entries, looking back through your weekly summary reports if you need inspiration. Now, if something comes to mind, then obviously go with it. But if you're really struggling on what would be a good idea to write for those, that's a good reference. All right, journal entries and weekly summary reports, whatever it is that speaks out to you. And again, it can be personally what issues that you had with your classes, or it can be something that was in your cooperating teacher's classroom. And last but not least, and I think this one's next Thursday, last but not least is the essay on how your teacher cadet field experience affected you. All right. Are you glad you took the class? Was it what you expected it to be? Was it more? Was it just horribly awful? Again, be very honest, right? I mean, I'll just cry on the inside like a winner and I'll get it over with. But I mean, really, be extremely honest. All right. I want everything. How did it start? How did it end? How was everything in between? And that one should be pretty easy because all I'm asking is for you to tell me about you and what you thought. Okay. All righty. Again, some other modifications to this. I wasn't there. I wasn't able to help you guys get something together for a teacher gift, and I am sorry about that. More power to you. If you did something on your own, that's awesome. I commend you for that. If you didn't, again, it's okay. It's fine. I didn't say anything about it just because I wasn't there, because originally I had planned to get everybody a little something. I wasn't there to be able to finish up your last few days of field experience. And so again, I didn't mention that one. And it is what it is. I'm still probably going to do a little something for the teachers that hung in there and did help us out, because I greatly appreciate them being willing under the circumstances to take on a cadet. But like I said, don't worry about that one when you get to it on your list. 17 is another thing that is completely optional. And if you are virtual, you won't have this at all. But even my in-person cadets might not have anything that photos of students, student notes, things like that. You probably don't have those. Again, if you did, kudos for you. That's awesome. Again, that's another thing that I didn't say, I didn't mention, I didn't push under the circumstances. Okay, so if you've got it, you've got it. If you don't, it's fine too. That's just another modification that we're having to make. And I believe that is it. I don't think that I skipped anything, but that's what I would recommend. I've got it pulled up on my phone, but I would recommend next week, as you're putting these puzzle pieces together to complete your portfolio notebook, I would strongly recommend having that portfolio guideline list out so that you can, just kind of check it off as you go to make sure you've got everything in there, you've got it organized, and you're ready to drop off. Okay. I thought I made myself a list yesterday so I wouldn't forget anything, and Lord only knows what I actually did with it. I'm sure my son stole it and drew a picture on it and something. But anyway, let's see. Next week, our December cadet / FTA sponsored School Spirit Week is next week. So obviously, I want you guys to represent. I want you guys to participate. I want you guys to encourage your friends to participate. And this is across the board, all right? I want your virtual friends to participate. I want your in-person friends to participate. We are trying to help Miss Clemens get some pictures for what might be a pretty pitiful looking yearbook because of the lack of activities. So she's really pumped up about this and this opportunity. So I need you guys obviously to represent and submit pictures, share pictures. I would really, really love in our Remind app if you guys would, shoot me a quick little pic of you representing on whatever day you choose to, whether you choose to do it on your in-person days or your virtual days or a mixture of the two. I love that. So I hope it goes well. I'm excited about it. And I'm trying to figure out, I'll make sure to ask Miss Clemens very nicely if she can throw me a bone and help me out as far as how to figure out our winners, since I'm not there in person. And she's got more of the connections to more of the social media pages than I do. I'll have to see if she'll throw me a bone and help me out as far as figuring out who our winners for each day should be. And we'll go from there. Obviously, I won't be able to get anything to the winners until week after next, but that'll be okay. I'll take care of that. Let's see. What else? What am I forgetting, guys? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Or what questions do you have about anything that I haven't brought up or mentioned yet? Lily?
I was wondering if you could return the things that we like on Google Classroom that we've submitted already, because I was thinking I could like change the color of my titles and things, and I can't do that when it's still submitted.
Yes. I'm glad you said that because until you started, as soon as you started to say it, I knew what you were asking. So I'm glad you said that because I probably would have forgotten about it. Okay. So yes. Let me write that on my to-do list. I'm making a new one and hopefully I won't lose this one. Okay, yes. So I will make sure to do that because obviously there's a lot of stuff that you guys need back so that you can, if there's anything that you want to tweak before you print or whatever the deal is. So yes, absolutely, I can do that. What else? What else? Questions, concerns, comments? No? Okay, so one other thing that I did want to say is that I was really looking forward to doing an in-person closing ceremony. We didn't get to do it last semester when we ended in the spring, so I thought, hey, it's okay, it'd be great. We'll do it this semester. Nope, still didn't happen. So I'm going to send this out today just because I got busy yesterday and didn't get to finish. But I'm going to send out a little Google form for everybody to fill out because I do have a little something for all of you guys because it has been a journey together. It has been a crazy roller coaster ride of a semester with all the changes and everything. So I'm going to send out a Google Doc for you to fill out. And it's not going to be much, but I do want to tell you guys that I appreciate you. I appreciate how hard you've worked. I appreciate your resilience and your grace this semester. with all the things and that you have powered through. And I'm really proud of all of you guys. So fill out that, and I'll figure out how to get it to you in one way or the other. You know, I need to find me somebody that's got a drone and I can like just drop it over your houses or something. I don't know. But fill out that Google form and enjoy your little surprises that I'll get to you some way, shape, or form. I'll figure that out eventually. Quick question, and obviously I know this is more for my underclassmen, but just kind of a quick show of hands. Who will be at school the week of the 14th for EOCs? Does anybody have to be the week of the 14th? Just to, okay. I wasn't really sure because I didn't know everybody's class schedule and things. So, okay. Well, that'll make that a little bit easier. Okay. Let's see, what else? Anything else? Anything else that I'm forgetting? I didn't mention. Questions? No. Okay. All right. Well, if I think of, I still feel like I'm forgetting something, but if I think of it, I'll shoot it out to you guys. Again, my apologies that this is how we have to end. But again, I can't say it enough. I appreciate you guys. You've done an awesome rock star job under the circumstances. And not counting today, I'm not counting today, 4 regular school days left in the semester. That's a good feeling right there. Last 4 days. So finish up on those portfolio notebooks. If you have questions, please reach out to me and ask. And for you guys that are in person, obviously Monday and Tuesday, you will be using that time to work on completing portfolio notebooks. Now, I will say this before I forget, that if you finish your portfolio notebooks Monday or Tuesday, then just leave them in my classroom then, and don't worry about making any kind of extra trips. But obviously, if you need something printed, let me know in advance and I can have it printed while you're there at school and you can get it and all the things. So that was something else that I was going to say and I about forgot about it. But anyway, I think I covered everything. The modifications we're making in your portfolio notebook. If you can, turn your portfolio notebook in next week. If not, make sure that you get it to me the week of the 14th. And if you want your portfolio notebook back, let me know, okay? I would love to be able to keep as many as possible just so I can have that for future cadets. But I also understand that a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears is probably going to go into these notebooks. And if you would like that chunk of your life back, I understand that completely, okay? So you can just leave me a Post-it note on it. You can shoot me an email. But just let me know. If you do want it back, make sure you let me know so that I can get it back to you. And we'll figure out how we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay. But I'll be working on grading them while I'm at school the week of the 14th. Okay. All right, that is it. I appreciate your time. I don't ever like to Zoom on a Friday because it is a Friday. And so I hope that you guys enjoy your weekends. Enjoy your last couple of days. Let's represent in Spirit Week next week. And again, if you need me, I'm just a remind message or email away. Okay, guys? Okay. All right. Bye, guys. Love y'all.